Stephen Bond. He's the Director of Foreign Policy at the Centre for European Reform, and he joins us now from London. Good to have you back with us, Ian. Firstly, can I get your views on this extraordinary summit that's taking place in Brussels between NATO leaders? What are you expecting to come from that?
Well, I think you have to look at the three summits today as a package, really. You've got the NATO summit, you've got an EU European Council, which will also be meeting with Joe Biden, and you've got a G7 summit. And I think across the three, what you will be looking at is increasing the defense of NATO members, increasing the support for Ukraine, and increasing the pressure on Russia. So this is, it's an important day. There's a lot to play for. And the fact that President Biden is coming in person, this is no longer summits by Zoom, underlines the fact that, there's a lot at stake and a lot on the table.
That's right, and we know one of the issues that the Ukrainian President Zelensky has been calling for is a no-fly zone over his country. He says that will promptly end the conflict, but NATO leaders insist that they do not want that to happen because it would draw them into the conflict more directly and it would create an even bigger war, perhaps. Can you tell us what your view is on that? At what point do you think might NATO have to reconsider its position?
Well, there have been some interesting comments out of Washington suggesting that if Russia were to use tactical nuclear weapons in Ukraine, that would cross a red line, and that at that point all options would be on the table. I mean, I understand the problem that NATO has with the idea of a no-fly zone, because to have an effective no-fly zone, NATO would have to be prepared to suppress Russian air defenses on Russian territory and potentially to shoot down Russian aircraft in Russian airspace. And I think that would be seen as a significant escalation. On the other hand, what NATO can do is to provide a lot more modern anti-aircraft defenses to Ukraine. And I think that's the sort of thing they're looking at. And I think also, in the early stages of the conflict, everybody was looking at what can we get to the Ukrainians that they already know how to use and can use immediately. The longer this conflict goes on and the more it settles into, in some areas at least, something of a stalemate, the more chance there is for NATO countries to provide more up-to-date equipment to the Ukrainians and to provide the training to go with it.
Do you think that by denying Zelensky's request for a no-fly zone and for boots on the ground in Ukraine, does NATO risk the label of being a paper tiger here?
Well, I mean, I would have liked to have seen NATO boots on the ground before this conflict started, because I think that would have been acted as something as a deterrent. We are where we are, and I think at this stage, the two things that NATO really needs to do are to show that it is absolutely resolute in defending every bit of the territory of every NATO member state, from Turkey right up to Estonia, or Norway, I suppose, even further north. But also it has to step up its assistance to Ukraine, because it is very much in NATO's interest that Vladimir Putin does not succeed.
Okay, Ian, we will have to leave it there, but thanks as always for bringing your analysis with us on TRT World.
Thank you.